Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Anastasia podcast. I am coming to you guys solo this week with so much stuff to cover. You're going to have to either take a seat, start doing the dishes, start doing laundry, like get yourself plugged into a task because we're about to have girl time, probably like we've never had it before. First things first, I'm not doing any afternoon caffeine except for today. I still only have 12 ounces of coffee a day. I have so much to tell you guys about. The nausea is not fully gone, but I'm doing my best. Like I am giving it my like A plus 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 effort, even though like from outside eyes, it probably looks like I'm giving like D minus effort. But again, that's what life is. It's about knowing what you're putting out and truly operating at your best. I just sat and I kind of went over all of my notes of all texts that I sent to myself like over the past week of things I wanted to talk about, cover. And I feel like over the past year, so much of me was just fighting the inevitable, which is my identity and my season of life right now is mom. And it's like my identity is shifting and transforming, and I'm trying to reach for something solid. And it's not there yet because I haven't like given myself permission to step into it. So, kind of just thinking about that and then seeing how interwoven it's into my life in so many different ways. I know I don't have a lot of answers figured out, but I know enough to know that like God is leading the way and it's just my job to obey. So I have so much stuff to tell you guys today. I want to talk about nausea, like first trimester symptoms. This was literally unbeknownst to me. Unbeknownst to me that you could be this physically sick for this many weeks, every minute of every day for forever. Because my first pregnancy, no symptoms. My first pregnancy went off without a hitch, except for when my ligaments started shifting and I ended up on crutches, but that was like way towards the end. I truly sat here in this chair recording a podcast with my husband, and we talked about, you know what? If you just stay moving and eat well, you can avoid pregnancy symptoms. I I truly like it's kind of burned in my brain me saying that, and I know the Lord doesn't punish, but it like almost feels like a, okay, I'm going to show you and I'm going to teach you moment. Do I think there's something like miscalibrated in my body and that's why I am physically sicker, so much sicker and so much susceptible to all these symptoms this time around? Actually, yes, because I feel like my first pregnancy, I kind of controlled my outside world so much more. I could get up and go. I could rest when I needed. I actually feel like I didn't rest enough during my first pregnancy. That's what I'm doing so different this time around. I'm sleeping more than I've ever slept. I'm taking it way more easy than I've ever taken it, and I have a one-year-old that I'm chasing after. I'm asking for help more. I'm accepting help more. Just I am surviving, not in like a mediocre kind of way, but I'm just being realistic with myself to what this season is calling me to. And that's something that I kind of didn't do before. And I really thought before it was more mental. Like if you succumb to it, then like it's going to rule your life. Well, I didn't think I was going to succumb to it and it was still ruling my life. And then when I started researching and understanding what is going on in the first trimester, then it kind of just made me be like, okay, I'm literally growing organs. I'm growing feet, legs, like even your first pregnancy, right? You are just kind of going through the motions every single week. You're like, the baby is the size of a blank. The baby is the size of a blank. And you read what the baby is developing, but it's not like so deeply a part of you yet because it's your first time and you're thinking about so many other things and you're thinking about your baby shower and like how you're going to dress your bump and all these other things. This time around, I'm like, oh, why do I have debilitating nausea? Well, let's look. From week 6, when we got our first ultrasound to confirm that there was a strong heartbeat, to the next ultrasound we're getting is 12 weeks. I remember even from the first pregnancy, our first ultrasound looked like a seahorse. Our second ultrasound looked like a baby. There was a forehead, a nose, beautiful little lips, a chin, hands, a baby belly, feet, like legs, arms, everything is there. So for context, this time, how bad I'm feeling, I'm reminding myself like Anastasia, the entire baby is being formed right now. From conception to 12 weeks, that first trimester, there's so much happening within the body. How can I not give myself permission to slow it down and just let my body is working beyond overtime and chasing after a one-year-old, okay? A 15-month-old. This isn't even like an almost 2-year-old. Like, this girl runs the roost. She runs the show, and I am just like hanging on by a thread. So, what did I learn from this past season of my life? This is just a season. I will get through it. I'm leaning on the support of like one, my husband, my mother-in-law, my family, my father-in-law too. Whenever I talk about my mother-in-law, I'm just grouping grandma, grandpa into there because what's that like reel on the internet where it's like it's like a guy and he's like, work my whole life just for the grandkids to call it grandma's house. Like, I just call it grandma's house, but it's Susan and Mark. But this is just a season, and before I know it, I'm like praying that it does lift for me after the first trimester because this past week, like I really dove in more and learned about HG, which is like, actually, let me look it up. Hyperemesis gravidarum. Hyperemesis gravidarum. Hyperep HG, okay, to shorten it because it's actually super long. It is a version of nausea that occurs to 0.3 to 3% of women who get pregnant, and you are violently ill your entire pregnancy. You lose weight, you can't keep fluids down, you have to be hospitalized. One of my husband's coworkers' wives actually has this. The poor thing has been suffering her entire pregnancy. And truly, when I've had the days where I couldn't even get out of bed and it was all consuming, I would remind myself like some women have it worse. And to me, that perspective shift is helpful because I can only imagine the lack of hope those women feel. And then you're just so like fearful that despite how horrible you feel, you hope your baby is safe. And I'm like, okay, like I'm just doing my best. Something that I do feel that happened with the nausea is I really kind of just let myself surrender to how bad I was feeling. And that was a very slippery slope. And I will say I felt a lot worse. I, like about 2 weeks ago, ended up getting a prescription from my doctor. It was Zofran. I've talked about Zofran on Instagram to a bunch of my mom friends. A bunch of my mom friends reached out and they were like, that saved my life when I was pregnant. It's like night and day difference. For me, the first 2 times I took it, it was night and day difference how well it worked. The third day, it didn't work at all. It didn't work at all. And I was calling my doctor's office, like weeping because we were packing to go to Virginia for my brother's first school, like Marine school graduation. And I would like go take a pair of socks out of my dresser and then I have to go lay down. And then I'd go get like a pair of pajamas and I'd have to go lay down. And it affected my entire day because the nausea is all consuming. And then Magnolia and XYZ, it was just really, really hard. And then there's so many, like whenever you're taking a medication, you're figuring out how that medication is affecting your body, working with your body, etc. Then being outside of like the comfort of your home, you're off your routine. So you're just balancing everything. I really kind of just threw caution to the wind and I was like, I'm going to eat whatever like mentally I can stomach. So it kind of shifted to carbs, like not just like garbage, like cookies and like fast carbs like that. It was like, okay, I want like plain bread, like a bagel with cream cheese. I want like, we went to Outback Steakhouse one night for dinner. I did get a steak salad, but it was like, you eat a little bit of everything. The nausea really gets to a place where it takes such a mental hold on you that I was finding through, before I even got the prescription, it was weeks of ginger ale. I got like Zevia ginger ale. I got regular ginger ale. I got saltines. I got gluten-free crackers, gluten-free saltines, ordered some from Whole Foods. My in-laws got me ginger, like hard candies, ginger chews, ginger gummies. I had anti-nausea homeopathic capsules. My sister got me the aromatherapy all natural sticks. She got me the bracelets that have the pressure points right here. Like I was like wearing wristbands like there was no tomorrow. I don't even remember what else, but I'm telling you, I tried everything. The vitamin B, they're like load up on vitamin B. Okay, vitamin B6 is a real thing. You can get toxicity in it. And I'm like taking prenatals with vitamin B6. I'm taking a B complex, which is like a huge dose of B6. Food already has B6 in it. I'm drinking liquid IV, which has B6 in it because there's a whole thing with B6. Like I watched a whole mini docu thing on YouTube about B6 is sometimes added into things because people are normally deprived of B vitamins, and then when you just reinforce things with B vitamins, it's almost like a placebo effect, like, people just enjoy it more, but B6 toxicity is like you get tingles in your feet. I already have like a vascular issue. I have swelling, like everything that's already amplified with pregnancy. I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like I'm not doing things that actually aren't helping and then amplifying other problems and then having to manage those problems all while being sick as a dog. Like it was just crazy. I can say 2 weeks out, I figured out how to get the Zofran to work. And what it was is my mother-in-law. So last Thursday, I was driving to go pick up Magnolia from Matt's parents' house. I had a day where I hiked the dog for an hour in the morning. I've really been enjoying walking the dog and like just giving myself permission to just walk, like really get out there for a whole hour. My brain is not like, oh, I got to get this done. My brain is like, this is for me and I'm enjoying it. And unfortunately, it was falling like for the entire week. And I think even the week before, it was only working out for me where, like, after I put Magnolia down for a nap, Matt's schedule was so crazy. He was working so many doubles. We came back from Virginia and, like, he literally worked, like, 5 doubles in a row. He ended up taking the last day, like, half of the day off because I ended up in the hospital and, like, it was just so crazy, but I was putting Magnolia down for her afternoon nap, going and waking up Matt and letting him know the baby's in her room, like, you're home with her. He's still sleeping because he's about to wake up, go to work. He worked overnight the night before. He was like double after double after double. I'm going and hiking the dog, rushing home. When I tell you I have not cooked for my husband in like over a month, I see all these reels on Instagram and like social media about like husbands having to totally take over all the home chores, cooking, cleaning. And I'm like, no, this is real because you can't function. You can like take 2 steps. Grocery shopping, like loading grocery carts on my phone would take me hours because it was so disgusting and nauseating to even just look at food on my phone. It was so sickening. It's crazy. When I tell you it's all consuming, and then imagine you have a 1-year-old that needs to be fed. And like the only energy you're expelling is like cooking that baby food just barely, like you're barely scraping by. So, anyways, that Thursday was totally normal. I ended up working, like I sat at my computer and I just worked on my computer for stuff for the salon for 4 hours and I was just plugged in and so focused. I'm kind of working on wrapping things up there. I want to actually like I'll talk about that in a little bit when I talk about not really knowing what my identity is in this season of life, but actually knowing that God knows what my identity is and he just wants me to listen and kind of follow him. So there's a lot going on. Anyways, whatever. I kind of wrap up working, text Matt's mom, let her know that I'm about to head out, grab the dog, and I'm driving. And I'm like about 10 minutes down the street. And I'm voice noting my best friend. And I'm like, whoa, like I feel super lightheaded. Like something feels weird. But I keep talking, talking, talking. And I remember I was at a stop sign when I said that. And then I took a turn. And then I was like, I need to get off my phone. And then like I was like, I don't feel good. And then I put my phone down and I kept driving. And I was like, I actually don't even think I should be driving. Like, this is not like oh, I'm busy talking into my phone. It was just like okay, something's wrong. Thankfully, there was an area where I could pull over. And then I pull over and I look left to right. And all of a sudden, like my eyes are not following what my head movements are and what my brain like knows I should be seeing. And then I just fully panicked. And I call my husband and he's at work because he's having literally a crazy week. And he's like, hey, what's up? We're super busy. Like, I can't talk. Can I call you back? And I just start crying, and I'm crying, and I'm crying. He's like, "All right, like, park the car, get out of the car, like, catch your breath outside." Couldn't even walk. I literally got up, took 2 steps, got immediately back in the car. Long story short, I'm at Kent Hospital, had to leave my car in a random parking lot. Magnolia stayed with Matt's parents, like, bless them. It was so crazy. Ended up being, like, super hyperglycemic, had a very low blood sugar. This was, like, the dumbest thing ever, though. They give me, like, one of the first things they did was prick my finger, which I don't know how I could have had low blood sugar when I ate all day. That was, like, crazy to me. I've never had low blood sugar. I'm not pre-diabetic. I'm not diabetic. Like, I literally had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what was wrong. I was so freaked out and panicked because I had never experienced something like this in my life. That one of the first things they're doing while they're like taking my blood pressure, someone like pricked my finger, showed the monitor to the girl. The girl's like, go get her some juice. Girl like runs back. I drink juice. You're just laying on a hospital bed, right? Like you're not really sure what's happening. I want to say like 20 minutes later, the doctor comes in. He's like, all right, so it looks like you had low blood sugar. Like, I think this is good. I think we can get you out of here without even having to run any tests or any labs. And I was like, I would like to run labs. Like, I was so freaked out. I don't know what low blood sugar means. Like, literally, I've never, when I tell you, like, thank God, like, I've never had any health issues like this. Like, what do you mean it's just low blood sugar? Low blood sugar makes you feel like you're gonna lose control of your car and your eyes don't like match where your head is looking. Like, it was so crazy to me. They end up running labs. The doctor comes back. He's like, immaculate. They never even said to me I was hyperglycemic. When I tell you I was laying in the hospital bed, and I typed out everything I did that day, everything I ate that day, like the hike, the work, etc., into Chat GPT. And Chat GPT was like, hey, this is classic for when you're pregnant because like insulin drops like a lot more commonly when you're pregnant. How would I know that? Like that didn't happen to me the first time. And the past 2 weeks, I really gave in to just eating super simple and not necessarily caring about nutrition because I could barely keep anything down. So I could literally barely even bake sweet potatoes, never mind cook meat. Chicken disgusted me to my like cellular core. It was crazy. So, one of my girlfriends, she's a nurse. She was like, okay, hyperglycemia, like that makes a lot more sense because that is more not what you ate that day. It's like what you've been eating for days and what kind of led up to this. And that's what led to like the huge insulin drop, which made so much sense to me because I've never eaten so recklessly in my life. How I was eating for those 2 weeks, week and a half was truly like throwing a lifeline to myself of like, I can't fathom anything. So whatever I can get down, I will keep down. That's it. And then it turns out that was like even more harmful to my body than just pushing through and eating protein. Because even 2 or 3 weeks prior, I stopped drinking my protein collagen coffee every morning that I've drank literally for 5 years because my protein, like it was just giving me the ick. And the second something would start to like ew, it would just start to get so amplified in my mind, and it would be so like, my body would shudder. It was so disgusting, and I was just like, "Okay." And then I was still trying to maintain caffeine, so I was like, "All right, if I can just drink coffee with a tiny bit of half and half, a little bit of maple syrup, like, that's actually okay, but I can't have it first thing in the morning because that makes me disgusted," and all it was just crazy. So the next day after the hospital, when Susan came over in the afternoon, she went to like, what is that place called? People in Rhode Island know what it's called. It's something like it's only open Thursdays through Sundays, and you can go get food there. And she brought me like a chicken Italian soup, which I was so surprised because when I was eating it, I was like, this chicken doesn't gross me out. Like, I don't know why. She brought me ravioli. She brought me a lasagna. She brought me a stuffy or like a stuffed clam. I had just got clam chowder from BJ's, the Blount's one. It's so good. She basically, I feel like she got me more stuff. We had bought that giant piece of meat from Costco and Matt had cut it into steaks. Matt has now been cooking strip steaks for me. And like I found, I really don't mind eating them. Like it's like cooking the food is half the battle. Yesterday, I cooked 3 burgers for him, and that actually took everything out of me, and the other side of that was, like, any ability I had to fight nausea and, like, suppress disgust for food, it was, like, overexhausted in that moment, and I was like, "I love you so much, I still can't do it." Like, I can't cook for you still because that took everything out of me, and then it was kind of like I couldn't do anything else for the day. So, that's just crazy because I'm so used to just being kinda like the housewife of like, I cook for my family. I don't wanna say I clean for my family. Listen, I do my best. I'm not great. Matt is like husbands and wives clean differently. Like, men can clean your whole house in, like, an hour. Like, women were like, "Where should I start with deep cleaning?" Okay, I'll spend 3 hours doing 1 bathroom today. It's just crazy. So anyways, and that's why we need both. We need the balance. But something that Matt's mom had said when she came over is she's like, you really need to get ahead of this nausea. You need to kind of recalibrate your body with proper nutrition and then keep eating small bits, but balanced bits and just keep it going. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Today's Monday. I am 4 days in a row now of I cannot believe how I functioned for 2 weeks, like, absolutely sick as a dog. I don't feel great, like, I don't feel 100%, but it is night and day difference how I was feeling, and it truly is eating little portions, and, like, how do you do that, right? Because you're eating little portions multiple times a day, like, every hour to 2 hours, so your stomach is never getting empty, your like blood sugar is never dipping, I guess your insulin. So like you're really putting an emphasis on protein, fats, and carbohydrates. And they do say in your first trimester, your body reaches for carbohydrates because they break down to glucose so quickly. And your body is so exhausted growing the baby, like everything that it does in that first trimester. So of course you're reaching for the easy carbs. And when I was researching that and learning about that, that made so much sense to me because I'm like, I have never like felt worse and like wanted to eat this stuff more than right now. But it's like the easiest thing to satiate how you're feeling. And oh my goodness. So it really is. I know it's different for everyone, but for me, it truly was shifting into like I for days would just be like to chat GPT. I bought Faye 0% Greek yogurt because I had 19 grams of protein. And I was like, what do I put in this? I bought granola, I bought like peanut butter, I have flaxseed, I have chia seed, I have honey, I have frozen raspberries, like all these things mixed in protein powder. I figured out like anything I ate, I made it balanced so I wouldn't have an insulin dip. And I don't have a nutrition major. Yeah, you have like a sense an idea of it, but like Matt was telling me, he's like, "Oh my gosh, how much water have you wasted just asking ChatGPT about this?" But then I was like, "You know what? Like Google does the same thing. Google, anytime you search anything on Google, it has its own AI overview. Like I don't think there's a way away from using AI in everything." So, that's been super helpful because if I end up making a yogurt bowl, that yogurt bowl for me is like 3 different portions, 3 different times of eating, and I'm finding little things that I could make. You're getting more diversity and you're kind of like working on the nausea. Like because before when you're eating a meal, you're sitting down, you're like eating that sandwich. And like the first bite, you're like, okay. And then you're halfway through the sandwich and you're like, because you're still in your brain thinking like I'm sitting down to eat a meal. By the time you finish your sandwich, you're like, I never want to look at another sandwich ever again. Okay, well, I can't make a sandwich and like take only a bite of it like throughout an entire day, spread out over multiple hours. But this way, like saltines with peanut butter and jelly, like all these little things to keep me from ever having a dip. It's just been night and day difference. I am though every single day taking Zofran in the morning and I still do feel nausea. So I don't feel like it totally works, but changing the way that I ate, eating a little bit every few hours has just made an unbelievable difference, and I'm so grateful for that, and today I'm 10 weeks, and I just pray that, like, I get over this hump in 2 weeks because it was so bad for so long, I really told Matt, "I don't know if we're gonna have more kids after this because this is torture." Like, me thinking back on my last year, I thought I knew what sacrifice was. What the heck is this? All right, something else that was just like a little bit of a small win for me this week. I have used NARS like light reflecting, I think that's what it's called, foundation for a few years. My friend Sam recommended it to me. Someone at Sephora recommended it to her. And honestly, I really liked it. My friend Courtney has reconfirmed it to me. My friend who's the high-end makeup artist in Florida, she's like, no, it's a really good one. It's go-to. That one is medium coverage. I just feel like I'm not in a place in my life right now where I can do like the light, dewy makeup. I was like putting on 2 pumps of foundation. I always wanted to use 3, but then I didn't want to be wasteful of the product. So I would only do 2. And I'm using so much concealer to cover whatever is going on in my forehead. This pregnancy, my skin is probably because I'm eating the randomest stuff ever, but boy, did I have like the most beautiful skin. I could just not wear makeup when I was pregnant with Magnolia. Did I not wear makeup? No, because I always wear makeup. But this pregnancy, I'm like, all right, I ordered the Tarte Amazonian Clay Foundation. It's full coverage. And I'm telling you, first of all, it's beautiful. I got my perfect color match. I do like the texture that it has on my skin. And I put on foundation. It doesn't wash me out like a canvas. It just literally covers my face like and my blemishes like makeup is supposed to do. And then I can just add under eye concealer only where I need it. Like I don't know why I didn't do this for myself sooner because I felt so ugly for so long. And like when you're spending a little bit of effort trying to put yourself together and then you're just like not happy with how you look, dude, I'm already unhappy with how I look because I gained 10 pounds in the first 7 weeks of this pregnancy. Like it was crazy. So even tying into that, I told Matt, I want to go through my closet and I want to get rid of so much of my clothes. A few weeks ago, Matt had like on a whim, he was like, you know what? I wanted to do this for a while. I'm going through my closet. This man in an hour and a half, power looked through his closet, got rid of like 3 huge stacks of clothes, and got all his summer clothes out from storage, went through those, and then put in his closet what he wanted. And he's just, like you just evolve and he has new brands that he prefers to wear. And he's just like, okay, like this doesn't suit this season of life that I'm in anymore. And I was like super nauseous laying on our bed. And I was like, I am so jealous of you right now. And I was like, also, what you just did in an hour and a half would physically take me 2 days. To go through my closet would take 2 days. Again, remember how I just said, like, it would take women days to clean their house and, like, a husband can do the entire house in 2 hours? We are, like, more thoughtful and we're the emotional species, right? So I'm not saying men aren't thoughtful, but it's just the way we process things in real time is so different. I look at my closet and I still have all my fall and winter clothing in there. And in this season of my life, I am not reaching for my blazers from my corporate days or my dress pants, or like, I don't even like wearing jeans because I'm running after a toddler, where I'm hiking my dog every single day. We're like on the go. So, okay, you're always reaching for active wear. And then I'm just kind of looking at this clothes that is so a part of someone who I was so many years ago, and it's like, okay, it wasn't in my closet when I was pregnant with Magnolia because that's when I had maternity fall and winter clothes. And then I was postpartum. And then I remember when I took all that clothes out of storage this past fall and winter, it was like, oh, I didn't get to, like, I haven't seen these basically in 2 years, like since 2 years ago, because last year I was in all pregnancy stuff. But then I'm looking at it, I'm like, none of this stuff resonates to me. And when I was like, "Oh, Matt, like, I'm so jealous. I wanna go through my closet." He's like, "Do it." I'm like, "No, if I go through my closet, I will not have any clothes left." He's like, "Okay, so, like, you'll get other stuff." I think, like, a lot of women can relate to this because we're in this transition. Your wardrobe before you were a mom is a different version of yourself, and it's not that I don't know who I am yet, but also your body's always changing because now we're, like, having our second kid, so it's you're in that, like, in between before your bump really shows and you're just like, whatever, you just wanna reach for comfort. I I thankfully, like, fully stocked my closet when I was pregnant with Magnolia because I knew I've, like, heard from other moms who are like, "Oh, like, I refuse to invest in this. I refuse to invest in this. Like, you're only pregnant so many times." And then actually, like, I think of some moms who are like, "Oh, I didn't care to buy this maternity stuff." Like, they have, like, 4 kids. I'm like, "You could have enjoyed it 4 times." But that's kind of, like, what I didn't wanna go through. I didn't wanna you're already going through so much uncomfortableness. Why would I wanna feel worse by hating all the clothes that I have? So, I have so many maternity shirts, so many maternity shorts, leggings, like, stuff that like, rompers, jeans, things that are gonna make me comfortable, and it's weird to say, like, I'm looking forward more to wearing my maternity clothes than I am any of the clothes in my closet, and I haven't even gotten to summer clothes yet. Like, I really think I need to do a very serious purge and just we'll see who I am on the other side of it. It's like, this is a transitionary season and it's so weird to be in this place where you're I don't want to say confused about your identity, but you're not certain of so much, but I actually do remind myself the one thing I know I am certain of is like I am Magnolia's mom. I am a mother, I am a wife, like, I have these things that are so a part of who I am, even though I might not know exactly who I am to me. Like, who is Anastasia, the version of myself that I knew before I was, like, so serious in the motherhood role and, like, I was the fun-loving wife and all this stuff, like, there's just so much more seriousness in this season of my life, and that doesn't mean I have to be overly serious. I'm just still trying to figure out who I am in all of this. Okay, I wanna talk about seasons of life. So, when the chaos of the miscarriage was happening and, like, the hormones were recalibrating, and then, like, Magnolia finally started sleeping through the night, and she was only sleeping through the night for a week, and then we got pregnant again, and then it was just then my hormones are surging. It was so much up, down, all around, back, forth, etcetera. It got to the point where Matt had said to me, like Matt was working a ton, and I just had all this stuff swirling in my head, and I'm an external processor, and I really needed to talk with him. And it was like, I think a week had gone by. He had done a double the day before, and he literally woke up an hour or two early before he had to go in for work. And he came downstairs and I was sitting on the couch. Magnolia was with a grandma this day. And I was like, "What are you doing awake? Like, you need to sleep," because he was going to go into work again. And he's like, "I know you have a lot that you want to talk about." He got a rain, he cracked it open, he's like, "Go." I think I talked for 2 hours straight. I literally think I talked for 2 hours straight, and it's such a place of grounding when you get to connect with your husband, like, the person who knows you more than anyone, because this is, like, even better than a therapist because they see it all. They know truly what your day-to-day, the ins and outs are, and then he helped me make sense of all of it. And he was like, "You need to leave your job. You're pulled in so many directions," and this is we already knew we were pregnant, so it's just I'm forecasting what the next year of my life is gonna realistically look like versus, like, all these hopes and dreams that I had for myself for 2026 and how it was gonna go according to my plan, now realizing it's a completely different plan, and it was so eye-opening because I realized there there was such a part of me that was longing to stay in connection to who I was before the baby, right? Like having something to turn back to reconnect to, etc. I think it was good. It was so good for me getting to do the little projects that I did at the salon just in the time that I was back was good for my soul because it reminded me that part of myself is still there. But in this next season of my life, I can't do it all. And if I'm saying yes to everyone, I'm saying no to a lot more than I'm realizing. And it really just helped put in perspective the season of life that we're in, how our life is structured, etc. I'm really called to be a mom right now. And any extra that I have can be for my podcast, and that is fulfilling for me. And it is not my time to like fulfill for others. And the biggest thing that I wanna say with this is sometimes in life when you have to make, like, hard decisions and big decisions, this is gonna make me emotional. But when the other side of that comes with so much peace, you know that God's calling you to it. And it was, like, so crazy to me because I felt like for a year, I was running myself ragged. I was, like, trying to be everything and still have who I was, and I was, like, running from the one thing I was supposed to be doing, and I talked about this at length last year in my podcast of, like, just how hard motherhood was for me and how much easier it would have been if I could run to work, and my kid would be someone else's problem Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and I'm not saying that people who go to work are dumping their children in daycare and making it someone else's problem. No, I truly understand that it's like the grass is greener on the other side. Matt's mom even said to me, she's like, "It was never an option for me to stay home with my kids, and I would have loved nothing more." And the way that she loves Magnolia and interacts with her and, like, helps her development, it's like, you can't pay someone to do that, like, to watch your kid like that. And I also know, like, so many women who go to work would kill to be able to be home with their kids, and it kills them having to drop their kids off at daycare, and they only get such a small window with them. But it's interesting that being in the other side of that, feeling like that was my life, and I didn't even know that that was gonna be my life, that was so mentally hard for me to wrap my head around because it was so hard to let go of the identity I had before becoming a mom, and I was resisting this new identity, and I love my child. I love Magnolia so much. It is just you are mourning in real time who you were, and, like, you don't know who you're becoming and who you are, and it is just crazy, plus sleep deprivation, plus longing to, like, feel connection again in your body of who you were and wanting to feel confident, and your cortisol is going like crazy and pumping and nursing, and it is I talked about this before. It is crazy to me that all women don't get a year off. Like, it is crazy to me because it takes, like, at least a year to get your head on straight after having a baby. So, the peace that I felt after we made that decision as a family that I knew I was gonna have to close a chapter and give myself permission to fully step into another chapter, it was so beautiful, and, like, we prayed about it, and just even now, like, as I'm wrapping things up there, I don't have, like, an official end date yet, but, like, that's kind of in the works. I, like, for the first time, am excited about truly being in a place where I'm mentally free, and I can just focus on my family, and my thoughts aren't thinking about, like, all these other things. I'm sure I'm still gonna be pulled in different directions because life is just kind of always happening, But I'm realizing I was so holding on to, no, but like I love design and I love like renos and I know I can redesign this space. And it's like you want to use that part of your brain, but I've never felt a stronger calling and direction from God that like you really have to like wait on this. It's not the time for it. It's not the season that you're in. You're going to put it on the bookshelf, but you will return to it. And I was like, okay. And like he's going to honor that because he's calling me to this season. And this is going to make me emotional. And he didn't put all those dreams on my heart for no reason. So it's like, it's wicked hard because before kids, any dream that's put on your heart, you just go after it and you work towards it. And you sacrifice by being like, "Oh, I'm not gonna go out, um, X amount of nights of the week. I'm gonna have discipline in all these areas." This is a different kind of discipline. There's so much selflessness and sacrifice wrapped into it, but this is what we're called for. This is how you raise future generations. This is how you raise well-regulated, emotionally strong kids to thrive for the rest of their lives. So if that's the trade-off, like that's what I have to do right now. This brings me into I listened to a podcast this week. Sadie, I don't remember her last name. She's like the Duck Dynasty guys' daughter. Her podcast is Whoa, That's Good. And I saw a clip for it on Instagram of her interviewing Thomas Rhett and Lauren Rhett. And they had said something like Lauren Rhett was talking about then I had, like, listened to the whole podcast, and the story was they were talking about getting into a position in life where you can hear what God's saying to you a lot clearer, and they actually brought up a place in the Bible, and I wanna go back and read that and find it in the Bible and kind of study it because they're like, you can teach yourself how to communicate with God and ask him to help you differentiate his word so you can hear him more when he's talking to you in the day to day. And they talked about, like Thomas Rhett was saying, oftentimes when you're like new in the industry, you don't get the chance to say no. When things or opportunities come up, like you have to say yes, because if you don't, they're going to give it to like a new artist or whatever. They were talking about a time when a huge opportunity came up, and then Thomas Rhett was like, I said no. And like him and Lauren were talking, they were like, did we kind of make the wrong decision? And he's like, I know I didn't make the wrong decision because how strongly I knew God was saying no to that. Like it made it easy to say no. And then Lauren said, well, then God's going to honor it because he's never going to tell you no without knowing like there's something better on the other side. And then a few weeks after he had said that no, something else came up in their life that they were like, whoa, if we had said yes to that thing, we wouldn't have ever been able to make this happen. And you basically always see the fuller picture. And that was just so beautiful to me because I'm thinking of by trying to say yes to everything, what I've been actually saying no to. And I'm so looking forward to like just being present with my family and plugged into my family. The thing that I was kind of running from for a whole year, trying to get back to me, I'm actually right where I'm supposed to be. And I don't know what the future is gonna look like with 2 kids and, like, having to give up my podcast studio, but this is gonna be the year of, like, God's gonna do it because I don't it's not that I don't see a way, I just know it's not for me to figure out, and because God is, like, calling us to grow our family, God's calling us for all these things, like, God's calling us to walk through it in a certain way, and we're just gonna have to walk, like, blind faith, and he's gonna do it. All right, 2 last things I wanna touch upon. I was thinking of the concept of seasons of life, and you guys know I talk about this so much, like, if my podcast ever had a drinking game listen, we talk a lot about God, but if there was ever a drinking game associated with my podcast, it's if we drank when I said the word seasons, none of us would make it. So before getting pregnant, I was or, like, before really the first trimester, like, caught up to me and hit me, I was really getting in a groove of waking up before Magnolia, and it was, like, I don't know, I had a couple weeks of this and I was like, "This is what I was waiting for a whole year, like, for 14 months." Waking up before my child and having a good 2 plus hours before her was life-changing because in the morning, it's the best hours of my day, and I get to pour that into what I wanna pour it into, journaling, reading, a devotional, spending time with God, even doing a little home chore. uninterrupted with that like boost of energy, getting ready, like it changed the whole trajectory of my day. And as quickly as I was getting settled into and excited to be in that season of my life, it changed. Which brings me to my next point. Being in the newborn trenches, that season feels like you're new forever because you don't know when it's going to end, especially if you're a first time mom until it's over. And it's over truly before you know it. It feels like forever, but like the heart of the newborn trenches really, I feel like lasts like 2 months. And day by day, that time does go by. Then you're adjusting to like life with your infant. And, that's like the next year transition. But so much changes. And I just think about sometimes when you're in different seasons, it feels like you're new forever until it's not. And right now, this season of the first trimester and being so sick and being so tired, I transitioned into this space where I was putting Magnolia down. I was immediately walking to our room, washing off my makeup in our bathroom, showering if I needed to, getting in my pajamas, going downstairs, unloading the dishwasher, reloading the dishwasher. I said to my husband the other day, it is gonna be, like, so interesting when my life is no longer like, this is, like, what I do every single night. There is no loading the dishwasher as I go during the day. I just have a little one who anything she hears that I'm doing, she's there. So dishes pile up in the sink all day, and every single night I unload a clean dishwasher and I reload it and I start it. That's just what it is. It's kind of like a therapeutic routine. Thankfully, we redid our kitchen a little bit, like quick, like nothing crazy. When we realized we weren't gonna redo our kitchen before we had Magnolia, we just like, okay, we had a sink that had a divider. I hated it. So we got like a super deep sink that's been great. Little things like that, like, make your life so much easier. You don't have to spend the $75,000 on a new kitchen. You can literally get together with your husband, spend a few $1,000s. It feels like a completely different kitchen because it works functionally for what you need in that season. So, do I still want a new kitchen? Absolutely. Absolutely, because I tell Matt, I'm like, "If we do a new kitchen, then all these bottles can go in a cabinet because we'll have more storage, and then I'm not looking at bottles every day of my life and whatever." Anyways, it's become like a nice little therapeutic routine for me because I turn on a podcast, nothing like overly stimulating. And then, it takes 15 minutes to half an hour. I like clean up her toys, close down the house, and then I go upstairs. And then I'm going to bed, probably within an hour to an hour and a half of her going down. And then every day I am waking up to her waking up. And that's just my new season. And there's no getting up before her. I'm waking up and I'm exhausted. But this is first trimester. And I am just reminding myself in this present time, not even about the nausea, just about like what energy I have in me for the day. This is just a season and it's not going to be like this forever. And this is all you can do. We talk to our mom friends, we seek encouragement from them, try to read your Bibles. I'm like not the best with reading my Bible. Remember when I was trying to read the Bible in a year? That lasted like 2 days. But like even my devotional, like sometimes I'll go to read my devotional and I'm like, that was good. I think I read this 3 weeks ago. So then I'll read the next one, but we're just trying our best. But prayer, you don't have to go get a book. You don't have to do whatever. It's always available right there. Sometimes I just plug it right in when I'm putting Magnolia down. We read this book every night called Good Night God. And it's so fascinating to me how much they learn and so quickly. We read Good Night God. It's a little board book. There's like, I don't know, 5 pages. She puts her hands together. She puts her hands together to pray. They learn so fast. There's doggies that like jump in bed with like the little kids who when they're praying. There's like a dog at the beach. There's a little seagull that's trying to get a cracker from one of the kids and she points to it and she goes, and I'm like, yeah, the seagull wants food. She knows sun, moon, she knows horsey, she knows drums, she knows cats. She's like, oh my gosh, it's just too much cuteness. But anyways, besides all that, just if you're in the thick of it right now, I know it's so hard because your lens is right here. It's just a season. Things do get better. Call on your mom friends, call on the Lord. And you know what? Walking through hard seasons, you just end up stronger on the other side in ways you could have never imagined. I'm so looking forward to seeing who I'm going to become. I see all this stuff online about moms talking about how hard and like shaky walking through motherhood for the first time was, and how like becoming moms of two, like they've never been more happy and at peace and in confidence. And then having more kids, whatever. I can't rush myself through it. I'm gonna take it in stride, but I'm not like fearful of it in the way that I was when I was grappling for any type of normalcy during year one. I remember we recorded a podcast, Matt and I, at 5 months postpartum, and Matt was like ready for another one. And I couldn't even deal with the humor of it because it was so scary to me because I was so mentally far from like, I was still, my world was rocked. And like he was, half kidding, but also I needed for that whole first year to like firmly decide when our daughter turns 3, then we will open the door to the conversation of growing our family. And it is so crazy how you change and how much more confident you get and how your perspective shifts and you think about things that matter. And I really got to this point where it's like, all right, I'm in it. There's no way around it. My child is small. She needs me this much. Our family is sacrificing this much for me to be home with her. I might as well be home with all of the little kids. First of all, she needs a friend. Like, I might as well get busy growing our family while I'm here anyways. And honestly, I hope the Lord blesses us like with however many kids we're supposed to have. I pray other pregnancies are not like this. But you know what? We're just giving it to the Lord and we're taking it in step. So that's all I have for you guys today. It was long. I did want to talk about some other podcasts I listened to this week, but like I just don't even feel like getting into that. My mouth is a little bit tired from talking. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next week. Bye.